Hello and welcome to another episode of Pyro Unleashed. Tune in weekly as Donnie and David discuss all things pyro, from the business aspect of the industry to technical tips and mesmerizing pyro designs. On Pyro Unleashed, we invite cutting-edge experts to the podcast to discuss their role in making this industry a success. So, sit back and unleash your inner pyro with us.
Hey everybody, CJ here with Muxboard, and if you're serious about your firing system, you need accessories you can trust. I've been designing custom slats, breakout boards, adapters, and more for over a decade, and it kind of makes Muxboard the industry OG. Still not sure?
Hey everyone, Den Fireworks checking in here to say I have chosen Muxboard.
I'm Brian McVeigh, and I chose Muxboard.
And again.
I'm Joey Pewitz, and I choose Muxboard.
And again.
I'm Brandon, and I choose Muxboard.
And again.
Hi, I'm the Pyro Santa, and I use Muxboard.
And again.
I'm Canada, and I choose Muxboard.
Every Muxboard slat and breakout board is designed to meet or exceed IPC electronics industry standards. And that's a level of quality and reliability you're not going to see just anywhere. Don't settle for less. Head over to the new website and check it out for yourself. That's MUUXBRD.com. Now, let's get back to the podcast.
Sitting there doing the Rocky run.
Oh man!
Well,
season finale.
Season finale.
Yeah, we got to go, and we've been teasing here.
Yeah, we've been promising a really good closing episode, and we want to thank Tom for coming on. Looking forward to this conversation and seeing what all we can talk about. So I guess let's just jump right into it. Tom, we know who you are. Yeah. If you want to give us a little bit of insight about who you are and what you do, and yeah.
Sure. My name is Tom BetGeorge. I'm the founder of a company called Magical Light Shows. We specialize in theme park shows, businesses, commercial installs, and residential shows as well. We do a lot of pixel animations. We work with pyro. We work with drones. I would say our company is mainly threefold. We do residential programming. We do commercial drone and light show operations. And then we also do just commercial experiences for like theme parks, businesses, and that sort of thing.
Okay. Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. And how did you get into doing all this?
Drugs. No, I got into this because I used to be a music director for conservatory, and back in a million years ago, 2 lifetimes ago, I did like music for film and television, and so I learned orchestration, composing, and my main instrument is piano, but I have to play most of them because of what I do. I saw light shows on the internet that were coordinated to music, and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. I want to try that. And then within 48 hours, I think it was on Good Morning America. And then every year since then, it has continued to go viral. So what has happened over time is just a company say, hey, can you come do that for us? Can you come do this for our theme park? Can you come do this for our business? Can you come, just basically create what you've done for your house at our location? I'm like, yeah, I guess. And then it took off into be just kind of a fun career. So I decided to go all into it. So I would say it started I started doing live shows 2013. It started as a job in 2015. And then maybe around 2016, I went full time.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So on average, how many light shows are you guys setting up each year?
That's a great question. We don't specialize necessarily in the installation of it. We do a lot of consulting, a lot of design. So I'm making up the numbers, but I think they're accurate. Okay, I would probably say we do about 30 installations a year.
Okay.
and then about 12,000 houses use our programming.
Oh wow. Okay.
Wow.
But we don't go to those houses, of course.
Yeah.
But they just kind of go, and we don't do for clarification, we absolutely do not do 12,000 custom shows.
Yeah.
But 12,000 customers buy our programming on the internet, and then it's just automated, and they just take our programming and adapt it themselves.
Okay. All
That's
right.
cool. That's really cool. Yeah. I mean, at what point in all this did you realize that the Christmas light shows were going to be more than just a hobby, and it was going to be your full-time career at that point?
My first job, I realized. I obviously when you do things for passion, you don't do it for money. But even my first job, compared to my monthly income, was like, hey, I'm making like 3 months income in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So it was, you know what I mean? It was like, whoa, wait a second, like, can I do more of this, right? So, and I started getting more into it, and yeah, before at first I used it to supplement the income, and then it became bigger than the income, and then more hours I threw at it. So, yeah, literally at the very first job, I'm like, oh, this is something. And now here we are with AI making us wonder, are we any of us going to have jobs in a month? I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously I was leaning into AI a little bit. I mean, are you guys leveraging AI more and more into your software and stuff like that? And how is that driving the change of this whole design process?
Yeah, we have to. I mean, it's either we have to be left behind, right? So it's I won't share everything we're doing with AI, not because we're hiding it, but it's more like we just don't want people copying certain moves that we do.
Yeah.
But I can happily say that we use AI in 50% of everything we do. There's obviously a lot of stuff that is still manually programmed.
Yeah.
And I would say most of programming is, but we're using AI as tools. But when it comes to solutions and when it comes to issues and troubleshooting, I mean, it's often our go-to. And then we're trying to implement it more and more as becoming part of our workflow, because we figure if we don't, other people are going to. And then they'll get what we're doing faster. We do find that the best programming is still done 100% by us.
Yeah.
But AI can help get us on track faster, and then get us closer, and then we can use that. We do projection mapping as well, in addition to what I listed earlier. And right now I'm working on the projection mapping project. I don't know if it's NDA or not, so I won't go into details about it. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But we are using AI to do a lot of our masking for us instead of masking it. Manually, AI is doing the masking.
Yeah.
So like, here's the mask, implement it on this video, and then instead of having to do everything through video software, we're getting halfway there just through AI.
Wow. Yeah.
Really overall speeding up that process of getting from start to finish for you guys and helping out there. Yeah, that's absolutely some cool stuff there.
Yeah, AI has not thankfully replaced any of our jobs, but it just each of us are using AI.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask. Is it taking away jobs, or do you think it's taking the same amount of time or same amount of manpower to make it happen?
Right, I think it's making us more impactful and more effective with our time. And that's why I hope to see the whole world in general as much as possible. Right, we're not just trying to. At least in our world, right? Like, obviously, I can't speak the same for every position in the world. I mean, we know a lot of jobs will be going away, but for the ones that stay, we're just trying to make it more effective. So, like, why? Yeah. I mean, AI did my taxes last year. Like, I had I had a stack of receipts and all the stuff to go through and all these Excel sheets. I literally gave AI all my credit card statements, all my bank statements, and I said, hey, can you categorize it? And it did it in like what probably would have taken me weeks in just minutes, and then I went through and made sure it was all right and correct, you know what I mean? But like, then I could spend more time doing the creative stuff. AI is not funny, and what I mean by that is like it's terrible at humor. We do a lot of humor. Like it doesn't have that nuance yet. It has some like, hey, that's funny, but we need to modify it, right? It doesn't. It's not really great at that, but it can I'll ask it something simple like, write me 20 jokes based off this concept, and then I'll narrow one concept and take that, now modify this in 20 different ways, and then it still won't be right, but then I'll be able to combine it with something that I'm thinking, and all of a sudden we got like, hey, this is the gem line, and we'll add this into our narration, or we'll add this into whatever we're working on. We even used it for like social media, like stuff like that. So like we're making a joke. So, like right now we're making an ad. It's not really an ad. I would say it's more like, is this a video that works as an ad?
Okay.
It's one of those experiences where like, well, a lot of times people think what we do are UFOs, and UFOs are big in the news right now. So we're gonna say something along the lines of like, magical light shows accidentally causing alien sightings since 2015.
That's fun.
So
yeah.
So obviously, I think a lot of people know you from the whole viral videos of your house and the lighting and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. How did that come apart? Where you just that just organically happened, or what point did that kind of blow up and become what it is?
Yeah, it was the very first video, and that's it. The videos were the organic part, and then the business. Well, actually, everything was organic. We don't really advertise, right? We just make our home videos usually. We do commercial videos too, but there's this charm about home videos. So when I put my first video up, it's like people just like, look at this crazy person, right? And it's catchy because they have that charm of just being someone's house, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have the same charm if it's a commercial building. It doesn't have the same charm if it's like a stage, right? Or if it's a nightclub, because it's to be expected a little bit. But when you have it at a house, like, look at this guy gone nuts, right? But then, that becomes this organic sharing thing. But then people say, wait a second, there's obviously clear skill in there. It's not just all for funsies. Someone there understands music, and they're coordinating it precisely, and they see past it, right? Because if I make an ad, it's going to get suppressed like crazy. But it was from the very beginning. It wasn't meant to be an ad. It was meant to be like, oh, let me share this what we're working on, right? Watch it. When I say we, at first it was just Tom. It was Tom for like 2 years. Let me share what I'm just working on, and then I added someone, then we added someone else, and then that way, I'm basically, I call myself the creative director of the company, so I'm still involved in all the creative aspects, but I try not to, like, I'm not the first person to respond to emails. I'm not the first person who responds to orders and that sort of stuff. Like, we have a few staff members who handle that, and I handle the creative direction, and I handle the final say on sequences, programming, and that sort of stuff. But talent attracts talent, not to imply that I'm talented, but I would say that when people see something cool, they want to be a part of it. So it started with just me, but now I'm surrounded by people who are also really, really gifted in what they do, who are just awesome. So like, like I have Matt Phipps, who I'm working with right now on a drone show, and well, he does all of our drone show programming. He already knew 3D software, so he does all that for us. And then I'm surrounded by Steve Petrucci, he was, by the way, all of our programmers are musicians. That was kind of like critical to the thing, because when you hear music, you can appreciate it, and when you appreciate it, you can actually acknowledge what's going on in the music much more precisely. So Matt's been a musician all his life. Steve's been a musician. He was a band director or a music teacher, band teacher. We poached him, and he works full time for us. As he basically runs the company, right? And then we have Larson. Both, I think, Larson's parents were like professional musicians. I go down the list, and and everyone who does the musical part of the programming has a musical background. So it's pretty cool. So that's why I think also what we do, it's spread so much, because even though people can't vocalize why it works, why it's creating an impact, but the heart of it is because we're literally acknowledging what's happening in the music versus a symbolic acknowledgement. It's not like, oh, when I see this, I have this emotion, so therefore we're just making this emotion. Like, no, we're actually literally acknowledging what's happening in the music, and because of that, an emotional reaction is happening. It's basically the inverse of what I used to do. So when I used to write music for film and television, the music told you how to feel about what you see. Yeah. And then we actually inverted that relationship where we listen to music. It's like the lights, the fireworks, the fire, the drones are actually acknowledging what the music is doing.
Yeah.
Long answer to a short question.
No, that's good. You started to bring up some other questions, like, your music background in lighting. Like, how much do you feel? I mean, obviously, you feel very strongly that it impacts it in a great way. Same thing with with how you're implementing the drones and say fireworks. Like, that has to just create a much more impactful segment in your show. And I know talking to you a little bit at Western Winter Blast, we talked about how you like to accent with fireworks as opposed to use fireworks for a full
100%.
display.
I mean,
right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay, I'm gonna state the obvious. Fireworks are literally explosive, right?
Yep.
It's very difficult to peek past fireworks other than maybe an accidental firework explosion or fire, right? Like it doesn't get bigger. So like, I know like since we do drone shows too, some people in the industry are like, oh, it's one of those people who think drone shows are replacing fireworks. Like, no way.
No,
sometimes they have to. But not because I want that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't think this there's no reason why this would be an NDA. Yeah, it's not an NDA. So right now, I'm also this morning I was working on a drone show are you familiar with the Palisades?
Yeah.
And if you're just in case for those people who are not familiar, Palisades is the area in Los Angeles that was one of the areas that burned down. Recently, and actually, I think it was Arson Sally that started it. It was either Arson or PG&E, one of those two. But when the fires happened, obviously, like fireworks is not a good place for the Palisades right now for multiple reasons. One, it's very sensitive to fire because of what just happened, and two, you have all these fields, right? It's even more prone to burn right now than other times. So like they can't do fireworks, so we're doing a drone show for them. But no, I mean, if I had the choice, you could peek all the way. So I was talking to someone, and you may know him as well. His name is Lyndon, and he does fireworks. It's ironic because we're working together I live in the town of Lyndon, and he does not, but we're working on a drone and fireworks show where fireworks are peaking. Oh, it's funny because I live in Linden. His name is Lyndon, and we're working on the Linden fireworks show. And everyone I say, hey, for the Linden show, or I'm working with Lyndon, they think I'm talking about the city. I mean, no, I'm talking about the person. It gets really, really confusing. This is not important, but I'm going to tell you anyways. When I was in high school, my high school running coach, his name was Dr. Foot. He was a foot doctor, and he literally had one foot. You think I'm making it up, but it was all real. So anyways, Linden is doing the Linden fireworks show, but we're peaking with the fireworks. We're building up with a drone show, and we're ending with fireworks. There's just nothing bigger. So I'm a huge fan of what we can do to incorporate because, fireworks don't do some things really well. And I'll just say it as it is. And now some people might disagree with me, but it's difficult to have soft firework. Like there's comets and there's certain things you can do, right? But you can only get so dim. You can only get so subtle, right? It's harder to have, right? It's easy to have the big explosive stuff. It's really easy. Like these fireworks excel in big moments. It doesn't excel with like the really softest stuff. I mean, sometimes, you might have fireworks slowly fall and like waterfalls happening, but it starts with some type of like firework, some type of charge, some type of sound. Sometimes it's very difficult to have 100% silent with nothing too bright, just dim, right? And that's where pixels really can steal the show. Maybe not steal the show. They can maybe reword that differently. They can do it more gracefully, right?
Yeah.
And then drones, like they can create an image. So when you want to create something literal in the sky, what can beat that, right? And you have this giant canvas in the sky. So when you combine the two, or even three when you add pixels or other aspects, then I feel like you can have a more emotional journey, a more impactful experience. So I do not believe drones are replacing fireworks. In one instance, like this 4th of July, it's going to replace in the sense where they're unwilling to do fireworks, as it would be a wrong timing to have for fireworks. But I think the dream is always when you combine all aspects of technology to make something that no individual thing can do by itself. Drones by themselves sometimes are boring. And they're boring in between images, especially unless you have a lot of drones. But sometimes, like you have this image, well, now you're waiting. Online, drone shows are always sped up, almost always, right?
Yes.
Fireworks shows are never sped up. Why would you do that, right? Fireworks, like you're watching it's all in all of its glory, whereas drone shows are often like, okay, let me speed up in between stuff. All right, oh, that's cool. Let me speed up in between stuff.
Yeah.
Same with pixel stuff. You would never speed up pixel stuff. But when you combine all the technologies, that's when we find it's just it's impossible to beat.
Yeah.
Either little buffering image, right, between drone images, right? The drones are transitioned one image, you have a little buffering image, like the next scene's buffering.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah,
Loading.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, what we can do, but it takes way more programming, is when the drones morph, like in a very specific way, right? Where they take something, they take this, and they move, and then it becomes something cool, right? So like one of the things that we have for our 4th of July show is we have this, ironically, we have a rocket going up that that bursts. I mean a firework rocket, and then and while it's going in motion, there is drones you can't see getting ready for the shell to explode. So like it's like rockets going up, and then the rocket disappears and the shell explodes, right?
Wow.
So that takes a lot of work because you're morphing what the other ones are doing in a very specific shape.
Yeah.
So you can pull it off, and of course, if you have lots of drones and lots of crazy budget amounts, you can have one thing appear, then something else appear while these are getting set up, something else appear. It's just that detail called money. Money and time. It's fine.
Always make more money.
Yeah. Yeah, and drones, unfortunately, are quite expensive. And similar to, I'm with fireworks, is the insurance. It's crazy. Oh. I just paid my insurance bill, I think, this morning or yesterday or last night. So it's still very fresh on my mind of, hey, we just paid our insurance bill. Let's put these things to use because we're paying for it whether or not we're using it.
Exactly. Yeah. So what is the design process, say for your house now? I mean, obviously you have a team working for you that they're doing a lot of the work for you, but what does that look like, all the way from music selection to execution? That's a loaded question.
It's okay. So, and I'm going to reword your question a little bit. It's not like what they were doing for me. Like, I think one of the cool things about us is, even though it's under my name, Tom BetGeorge, a lot versus Magical Light Shows, it's us. It's always been a team, right?
For sure.
So it's not what they're doing for me. It's like what we're doing for each other, right? Like, it's a great relationship where everyone is representing what they do. The reason why we share it as Tom BetGeorge on social media, because if it's shared by Magical Light Shows, all the algorithms suppress it and it loses its charm because it thinks, oh, this is the company. So yeah, even though it is a company, we're purposely putting it on a personal account because look at this crazy guy or look at these crazy people versus look at what this production company is making. Loses its charm. So, but that being said, the design process is, we start with what we're trying to do, and then we use the technology to get where we want to go. And what I mean by that is a lot of people start with, hey, we have these fireworks, where are we going to use it? Hey, we have this prop, how are we going to use it? And I think it's backwards thinking. You start with what show you're trying to, create, and then you say, what technology do we need to make this? So we start with the theme and or the songs. Once we have that in place, we decide what props we're going to need, what fireworks, what kind of elements, what kind of technology. The very first year I used fireworks in artist shows was because the song kept on getting bigger. It was a song called Noel, and it kept on getting bigger and bigger. There's like multiple key changes. And I'm like, we've done everything we can do. At this point, we need explosions to make it. So we added fireworks. We did something in the sky. How can you make it bigger, right? So we literally we gotta ignite the atmosphere at this point. So that's what we did, right? We just started adding, and it wasn't a ton of fireworks. It was only probably $1,000 in fireworks, but it just added so much depth. So we could have another peak. So we had pixels, and then we had more pixels, and we had beams, and we needed it for another key change. Then we lit up, and we started adding comets, right? And then for the big finale, we added our shells. But I don't like cakes. I got to tell you, I'm not a massive fan of cakes that I can't eat. And it's because the timing, control. Right? I mean, exactly. Control. They have some, don't get me wrong. There's some, I'm not opposed to having a row of fireworks go off. But when you have a cake that's just good luck. I hope it works out. I mean, we use them. And honestly, I think the number one reason why we use them this past year is because we ran out of mortars. And we need these mortars. We can't, all right, this cake will get us close, and we could just, we don't need the mortars for them, right? But otherwise, we got more mortars. I will always choose the single fires and the more precise shots. And I don't know why I even brought that up, but we might have a cake at the end, just because just something big. But if I had the choice, we'll do a single fire every time. I know when, speaking of Dan Haynes, we brought up before, Dan is our firework guy, right? I work with him with doing the finale stuff. Like he knows fireworks better than anyone I know. He'll say, here's what we need. I'm like, here's the colors we need. Here's the type of effect we need. He says, oh, you want this. And all right, cool. And then he'll make the finale thing. And then I'll go in there and fine tune it because he's like, oh my God, like this is too much. I'm like, let me do it. Because he's never done so many individual shots in his life on anything because what he would, what normally a firework person would probably just use, like, hey, like we're just going to put a cake here. We're going to have like a sweep, another sweep, another sweep, another sweep.
Yeah. And
instead of doing the sweeps, I did each of the fireworks timed because I just wanted it to be literal. And I think that's what separates, I think, our company, what we do is because when people want something really precise, like when we're working like an EDM artist or something for like a festival or something, it can't be close. It can't be like, yeah, I mean, it's if there's this crazy synth effect and you're off by even a tenth of a second, it doesn't line up. It's just like it's murder, right? It becomes what I would call a conscious connection versus a subconscious connection. When you watch something and it's barely off, your brain says, "Oh, I see what they're doing. They're timing this with the timing of that." And it's not as an emotional experience. You're like, oh, I see. I can appreciate what they're doing. When it's timed perfectly, however, the brain stops analyzing it on a conscious level and actually takes it in more on a subconscious level.
Yeah.
Where they're not even analyzing. They're like, whoa, the fireworks is the source of the music. It's so perfectly timed that they stop thinking about what they're experiencing and they just experience it.
Yeah.
And that becomes a much more emotional experience. And people can't vocalize that. They can't understand what it is about the psychology. Like, I don't know why this one moved me so much more. It's because the timing, once you get so close, the brain considers them one and the same. When I teach courses on this, I often reference things like just how sensitive your ears are, right? So you have two ears. And if someone were to walk around me, right now my eyes were closed, I wouldn't know where they are, which is mind-boggling when you think about what's happening in the science of it. Because the brain is deciphering when one ear hears it earlier than another ear and the reflections, and it can actually determine exactly where they are in the room, even though that's happening at 1/600th of a second for us to localize sound. Wow. So in other words, our brain can hear the difference at the speed of sound when something comes from this side versus this side. Yep. That sensitivity is how fast we have to make it match for the brain to say, hey, this is one and the same. Versus, oh, I see what you did there. You're trying to make the firework match that peak of the music. Versus it literally matched. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just being blown away by what I'm watching.
Right. Yep.
So obviously you talk about that time and stuff like that. How much of a challenge has that been to get those fireworks timed? Because fireworks are all different, right? Like you can shoot the same effect multiple times and you get different timings, right? Mm-hmm. So what are you guys doing to help maybe with some of those timing differences to make those precisions? Are there different things you're doing, different testing you're doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, like in my experience, the lower the firework, the more precise it's going to be. Obviously, comments and stuff like that, they're going to be instantly fired, right? There's no delay. I mean, or if there's a difference, it's negligible.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a shell, I'm very careful on how we're programming that, right? Like I don't like to use shells. I use them at the big ending moments and stuff like that. I use the aerial shells probably way less than anyone just because. Yeah, you're calling it, right? The time, like how the heck do you time it? You can get it close and you pray to God that it's going to be where you want. And I was complaining to Dan. I'm like, can we get the manufacturers of the fireworks to have a smaller tolerance? And I mean, obviously exactly how much charge, how much they put in there, and how well they build that firework is going to reduce that tolerance. I mean, how precise. Now, obviously maybe obviously the wrong word. Then you have people like Disney who will say, hey, when it gets to this height, it's going to automatically ignite because it's actually altitude based. And you know what I mean? And they're using what's it called? Pneumatics to launch the fireworks, right? There's different ways of pulling it off. But that was also partly because, there's just too much smoke. And they couldn't have all that smoke in there. So using pneumatics to get rid of that whole charge thing, right? Yeah. So we don't have pneumatics over here. We're not throwing them out manually. So I use shells minimally and in places where if it's not as precise, it won't be as big of a deal. Also, stating the obvious, one of the challenges in fireworks are when the boom happens and when you see it are two different times.
Yeah.
And that can also make it very complex, right? So I tend to not like just focusing on sound. I try to focus on when, I like silent fireworks as much as possible, unless it's at the very, very, very end, right? And then you can use your tributes, and you can use all your stuff that makes all the big noise when it's like this almost chaos of a peak, right? So, for example, I remember one time on one of these 80s mixes, we had Welcome to the Jungle, where the drummers just went crazy, right? Yeah. Well, you can get away with anything there. You can light a cake. You could, and it doesn't make a difference when the shells are going off. It's going to feel like it fits. And even the more chaos, the more it works. But anything that has to be well timed, it's just not going to be a shell. It's going to be a comet. It's going to be a mine. It's going to be something that we know is going to fire within, 1/10 to 100th of a second of precision. When we program our pixels, we do all of our pixel programming to 100th of a frame. Okay. Which is also a challenge of ours, because often what links us is time code running at 30 frames per second. So even though the time code is accurate, and even though Finale, you might be programming your fireworks, it might be 1,000th of a second, but the problem is your time code is still limited to a 30th of a second, at least of what we're using, right? We've actually had to compensate. So for example, let's say we have this is real. Okay, this is what happened. Like, we have lasers that come on, and when the laser comes on, and then the time. So even if everything was precisely programmed to 1,000th of a second, but the time code was 30th, we know that in a 30th of a second, we might have a laser come on, then a firework come on, then a pixel come on, and you'll actually see 3 different start times, because what's linking them is something not as precise. So what we'll do is we'll fade it. So instead of having pixels suddenly come on, instead of the laser coming on, we'll actually start it from being dimmed at 0 and opening up the light. So it's a soft fade. So that way, when it's more accepting for your eye, because now it's turning on gracefully. Even this is within a 30th of a second. That because when we had it all precise, lasers come on immediately, pixels come on immediately. It looks like it's off, even though I'm like, what's going on? We know we did this right. We all use the same time code. Yeah. When we play them all individually, it's perfect. We realize it's because the time code is limited to a 30th of a frame precision. That's how we deal with it. Also, we make the pixels and the beams and the lasers dim on instead of turning on instantly.
Interesting. I
never really thought about that. Yeah, when you're scripting and using time code differences and how that can affect the timing a little bit. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, we're the only people we know who does timing like this. So we'll also, in addition to what Finale recommends, we will actually record a couple of shells and a couple of comets, a couple of mines before the show.
Yeah. Yep.
And we will time at what point does it appear to the audience, and we'll use our video. And then let's say, for example, it takes 7 frames for a mine to appear above the building that everyone's looking at. We will then take all the mines and move them back 7 frames. So by the time they appear to the audience is when you see them. So if there's any building, any trees in the way, we actually record it. And then we take all the different kinds of. Now, shells won't really matter as much, right? Because shells will be so high by the time they go. So I misspoke when I said we don't do that with shells, but we do it with mines, comets, anything that's going to be. It's already starting by the time, you know what I mean? And we want to make sure that by the time you see it, so I actually record it, and we'll use our lap. We'll pull up Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere. We'll count how many frames, and we'll rewind it.
That's way, by the time you see it. Yeah, because I never would have thought about you are shooting behind something like your house, right? Mm-hmm. So you do have to account for that delay. That's very interesting.
And then to really screw it up, then we take a drone and we record from the sky, and now the drone is showing it start early.
Yeah.
So we have to choose what camera angle based on what's happening. Yeah. Because if we go to a drone shot when it's starting to fire, you're going to think we started it early. but on the ground. So sometimes we even go in between. It's a whole mess. So like we sit here, we literally will have a meeting about what do we do? How do we solve this? Because if we want the drone to be on, we have to have it start, at this moment, but then it's going to feel wrong from the launch on the ground.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of stuff that stresses us out.
On your Christmas show on your house every year, how many Christmas lights are you guys using out there?
All of them.
How many? All.
Yes.
That's the simple answer.
No, I real rough number 100,000.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
And all this pixel based lighting, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Yeah, all pixel based. That's real rough though. So I would not use that like in court, you know what I mean? But like it's a real rough number. Sometimes every once in a while we'll go in there, we'll go to X lights, we'll count the channels, we'll split, divide it by 3 or whatever, and figure out the math, because I might be way off on it, but like it's a lot. 100,000 might be on the high side, but it's not like it's 10,000. It's nowhere like this. Way high. Yeah. But we keep on adding stuff, and we don't even bother counting. We just figure like, let's go add this, we'll add this. We're nowhere near our network limits ish. What determines like we're limited on how many pixels we can have per port. Like we can run up to 333 pixels per port, whereas some people go higher than that because we want to maintain our frame rates of 100 frames per second. And then even though the camera can't capture that, we found when you go to that frame depth, when animation streaks across, it literally starts to look like magic versus lights coming on stages. When you upgrade that frame rate, it's like, oh, you don't need that. The eye can't see it. It absolutely can see it. A lot of people misquote there's been studies done on what the brain can consciously be aware of. And what that meant was like, if I was watching a movie and 60 frames per second was happening, and in those 60 frames, 60 unrelated images happened, no, my brain couldn't retain that. Yeah. But you absolutely can see the difference in the quality of the motion. Your brain can see way more than that. And people misunderstand that to be like, oh, comprehending 60 different images versus being able to appreciate the smoothness of the 60 frames, They did that a long time ago with like advertising movie theaters, right? Where like, hey, 1/30 of a frame would be a picture of a Coke, and it would show, water coming down the side of the cup, and they would show an image of popcorn, but they would do it so fast your brain couldn't like, well, did I just see that? And I don't know. Your brain didn't even necessarily, it just looked like a glitch. But your brain on a subconscious level said, kind of thirsty, I don't know why. I kind of want popcorn, I don't know why. And that was a subconscious. They went so fast on purpose that your brain wouldn't perceive what was happening. But yeah, when you have one image or you have one thing, it's instead of it looking like I'm watching a light show, it literally looks like magic is moving across the house.
Now, what advice would you give somebody who wants to try and take on synchronizing lights and doing displays like this?
Don't. It would be the opposite of what we do. And the reason why I say that is because of what we do and because of customers we are now aiming at, we often go bigger, right? But bigger does not mean more impactful. And it's often what happens is instead of spending more time on what people have, they think they need more props. They think they need more fireworks. They think they need more lasers. They think they need more pixels. And the truth is usually far from that. Usually I think we should start with something really small and see what you can do with something very, very simple. You don't need a lot. Ironically, I am a minimalist. I don't like things overlapping. It doesn't feel that way because we have crazy technologies. But even with our technologies, if you look at how much stuff overlaps, it's very little to none on actually overlapping effects. Because I don't want lasers on top of pixels, on top of beams, on top of fireworks. Yeah. You'll see there's moments where they're all used. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but we've had corporate clients or even bands and other people use us where we would go to concerts and we're like, man, this could be so much more better if they just turn some stuff off. Don't use all your technology at once. Showcase one technology at a time. Then sometimes 2, then maybe sometimes 3, but darkness is your friend. Hello, darkness, my old friend. But like and without darkness, there's no contrast to the light. Without silence, there's no contrast to the music. There's no contrast to the noise. So the more darkness, the more silence you have, the more impactful your show will be. And it doesn't work for social media as well, but doesn't mean you shouldn't do it in person. Because like in the first 2 seconds, if we don't get someone excited about what they see, they're gonna just swipe, right? That's a different dynamic than what we do in person. So if we have an audience captive, we're going to do something very, very different. They're going to appreciate it, but it won't translate to social media. But that's not necessarily the goal. So one of the things that we have to go back and forth with is like, hey, this song is for social media. Hey, this is for people here. And for the ones that are really, really powerful in person, they don't do well in social media.
Yeah.
But for the ones that are really, really good on social media, it's because in 2 seconds we blew their mind.
Yeah.
And then, wow, this is amazing. This is amazing, amazing. And they'll still swipe 7 seconds later. That was life-changing swipe. Like it's a different beast online. So I would say for anyone starting, start small. Don't actually think you need a lot. You really don't. You need like one controller and some lights. And then light a firework at the very end. You don't need all this extra stuff that we do. You build your way into it once you feel like, for the most part, you got to a point where it would be better to have more props than to spend more time on it. There's that point of diminishing returns, where like, yes, you could make it better, but it would be actually more impactful if we just introduced a new technology. So when that becomes the truth, that's when you buy something else. But until you're at that moment, if you have one strip of lights and you're underutilizing it, don't buy more. Just utilize what you got first. And then you feel like I've got everything I can reasonably get out of it, where it would just make more sense to have a second strip of lights. Then get your second strip of lights. I do think less is more, 100%.
Firetech firing systems. Built for control, built to perform. Stronger signal, total control. Lightweight, compact, ready to go. This is Firetech.
I mean, and you can. I mean, I know for like the fireworks world, right? We can take a lot from that. And that sometimes the slowness, the darkness, and when you're in person, a slower fireworks show is more impactful in person, right? If you have the right music to go with it, versus, if I'm watching a fireworks show online and there is some slow moments, that would be more tendency to skip on and move on, because it's not entertaining. So it is that difference of where you're trying to bridge that gap between what's for in person versus what's for at social media, and you have to do there's two different kind of mediums in those cases. And I totally can relate how that kind of crosses over into fireworks.
Typically, the number one thing I do in my job right now is delete things, and I'm not kidding. Sometimes I piss off my team because I work forever on this project. I'm like, that's amazing. Let's delete it, because it's when you look at the big picture, it's more emotional when less is going on. That, like, for example, that's a really cool effect. I want to save it for this moment, so then we'll delete all the times up to that moment. One of the things that we do in our company, I don't know how other people do it, but from the very beginning or if it's not at the beginning, it's early in this stage is a better way of describing it. Sometimes in the very beginning, though, when we're sequencing a song, we literally just create like this online Google like Excel sheet, and we will say, this sound is going to be acknowledged by lasers. Don't worry about it being used by any other technology. This is going to be done by the fireworks. Don't do it. This is going to be done by water fountains. Don't do it. This is going to be done with water fountains and projection. Projection and water fountains need to do this.
Yep.
And that way I don't have team members wasting their time as much. Like, so we'll have like, okay, then if they want to experiment with, like, hey, I added the fountain, it wasn't in the script, but what do you think? I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Let's keep it. Or like, that's really cool. Doesn't fit. Let's use that effect in a different sequence. So we'll go ahead and, by the way, I might apologize. My monitor is changing colors. I just realized, what's that green coming from? It's like this, the Apple screensaver. We'll plan it out. So which technology is going to acknowledge what, so we don't overlap, and that way the sequence becomes more powerful. When I watch fireworks shows, honestly, I'm just like, oh my gosh, they have too many fireworks going on. Yeah. That only works for a moment. When you have something grand for 10 minutes straight, it actually loses its impact. Mm-hmm. And honestly, you're just blowing through money at that point. You don't need it.
That's in order for it to I was just saying, that's where the idea of like, you have to have these crazy impactful moments, but if you have the whole show as a crazy impactful moment, then it's not very impactful, because it's, you're just overdoing it. So you have to almost have your lackluster moments. Yeah.
I don't recommend most drummers doing a fireworks show because drummers usually have two dynamics, loud and louder. I used to be a judge for I don't know if they still do it, but the Guitar Center used to have a drum off competition across the country, and I was one of their judges. And the big joke is, drummers often don't have dynamics. Right now, a good drummer will have dynamics, so I say it all in jest. But with fireworks, the same thing can happen where you just have like. I remember, I won't throw anyone under the bus. I was watching a show where it was amazing, but it was amazing for too long. So it lost, and I'm like thinking honestly, like you're not wowing people anymore. It's more like this, wow, cool, and then you lose the effectiveness of it, honestly, and it sometimes would be draw people in. When I conducted orchestras, one of the first thing I would work with in our orchestras was like, you want people as much as possible to be on the front of their chair, not the back of the chair. You want to draw them in to and then at the end or at a certain moment you can draw them back, blow them away, but you can't blow them away before they're just falling asleep. Eventually they're just like, okay, right? But in fact, what you want to do, you draw them near, like what's happening, So I used to do classroom management with our schools, and one of the ways when the class is out of control, I actually got quieter. The quieter you talk, they actually listen more. Yeah. Teachers often think, oh, I have to get louder for the kids to hear me. Like, actually, you got to slow down and get softer. It's the same thing with programming, same thing with music, right? So if I want to draw you in, all I have to do is space out what I say just a little bit. And then it pulls you in a little bit, right? If I talk really fast, it just becomes something like, this is nonsense. But if I slow down, now you're interested in what I have to say. And there's that breaking point also where if I go too long, you just want to punch me in the face. Right? Like there's this, okay, wait, that's just pissing me off, right? I usually, when people call me, I say, hi, this is Tom. One of my biggest frustrations is when they don't answer right away and they say, hi, is Tom there? After I said, I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do this. So, like, I literally just said, this is Tom. You're not even listening to what I say. And then it took you 5 seconds to acknowledge. I'm like, oh, my God. So it annoys you, right? So it's finding that timing of like how much draws you in versus not crossing that threshold of just pissing you off waiting. Or making you bored and making people take out their cell phones scrolling while they're watching a freaking fireworks show that's costing thousands of dollars.
Right.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. Do you think constraints? Go ahead.
No, good. No, good. No,
I'll answer both at the same time.
Okay, perfect. Do you think constraints actually improve creativity then?
It makes it easier for most people. Yeah. So one of the problems with creatives is they think they have the whole world at their fingertips. And one of the easiest things to do is to say, what is this not? Well, this is the 4th of July, for example, the 4th of July fireworks show, right? So I'm not going to do these effects. And, this is 4th of July, so I'm going to rely a little bit more heavy on red, white, and blue and not, green and yellow nonstop, whatever. So you start saying, what is this not? And before you know it, you create a box. And now when you create a box, it's easier to be creative. When you have the whole world at your fingertips, some people don't even know where to begin. Yeah. So I would say, yes, it's easier to start with constraints. Build a box, create a show for that box, and then have an expectation to be within the box. And that way, when the box is set, then you can break the expectation, and that what creates emotional impact. So when the brain understands what's going on, so let's say when we're doing sequencing fireworks and we have this expectation and then we're fulfilling the expectation, cool. Then all of a sudden, when you have a pattern, but then you break the pattern, it has more impact. When you have no patterns, there's no impact because then it's all chaos after chaos. So your brain never gets to even expect something. You can't really expect chaos. But when you expect something, once the expectation is there, if I go bum, 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 and I don't hit that last note and I make you want the note, there's an expectation. But if you don't recognize a melody and I just go and I have nothing but previous to it, there's no expectation, there's no impact. But if I go bum, bada, bum, 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 and I waited a little bit longer, there was an anticipation, the delay of the resolution, and the delay of the resolution drawed you forward out of your chair because you were waiting for it. So creating constraints absolutely does help your creativity. Also, creating expectations helps because without expectations, there's no breaking of expectations, which means you'll never really have a big impact.
Yeah, very interesting.
Kind of like along the lines of the music stuff here, and a little more maybe personal for you is: are there any artists or composers who have really heavily influenced your styles and the type of music that you gravitate towards?
Yeah, but it won't mean a lot to a lot of people. So, like for example, I love Stravinsky, and then most people will not even know who that is. But if you're into classical music at all, if you watch Fantasia, there is the dinosaur one, if you will, in Fantasia. That was Stravinsky, Rite of Spring. That's very impactful to me. I love John Williams. Everything about John Williams is great. But John Williams uses Stravinsky in his composition. John Williams uses Tchaikovsky in his composition. So John Williams is brilliant, but he got his stuff from other stuff too, right? So like Star Wars, a lot of it's from Rite of Spring. Absolutely. And then juxtaposition of harmonies on, that don't belong inside of a chord. That's what John Williams would do all the time. Like, here's this ba-ba-bum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum-bum. But the reason why that sounds so cool is because he's superimposing a chord under it that actually doesn't match what's going on inside of the music. I think I have noise canceling headphones. Otherwise, I'd play it for you on piano. I have a piano underneath my fingers right here. So my studio is right here, but underneath my studio is a piano. When I say piano, I mean a piano keyboard, and I actually play when I'm programming.
So
I can see what's going on and actually time it. So I have it right here, but you won't be able to hear it because the noise cancellation cancels it out. But it's Stravinsky, Tchaikovsky, big impacts. Who else is there? A little bit of Beethoven, but I would say if there was one, it would be just Stravinsky was. Oh, and I love Debussy, like big time. Debussy, oh my gosh, the colors that are made are phenomenal. And then speaking of Fantasia, Fantasia was one of my most impactful movies as a kid because in the very beginning it goes da-da-da, ba-da-ba-da-bum, and it started with that song, and it actually had basically what we do, right? It's like starting with the music, and you're taking these images and these colors matching to the music. I think that's why I do what I do. Is because that created an impact in my life. And as a kid, that was the first song I learned on organ was Toccata and Fugue in D minor, which was by Bach. Learning that, has opened up my mind and how you can have, your melody, your counter melody, and different colors of how chords affect your brain and how different shapes and things come to your mind. And because that whenever I teach and even when I go with the crew, and we don't start with what you have, start with what's in your mind and try to get what's in your mind into the tools of what you have versus I have this tool, what can I do with this tool? No, start with what's in your mind. How can I get my tools to emulate what's already happening in my mind?
Yeah.
And I guess that probably leads into the whole mindset when you're doing these live shows. Are you approaching that from like you're conducting an orchestra kind of a viewpoint?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. But it's not so much that because I'm conducting it. I mean, in a way, because it's also semantics, right? I understand the emotion of what you're talking about, but it's also the composition of the piece too, right? The composition as well as conducting. The conducting is more of the timing and the emotion, and the composition is the whole foundation of the piece from the get-go, right? Even if the music isn't right or if the lights aren't right, no matter how well I conduct, it's not going to work. But having the right elements, the right colors, how you combine instruments is how you get a color, right? So how you combine lights and technologies is like the visual counterpart to that, right? So how you combine lighting is it creates this color, if you have just white beams in complete darkness, that's definitely one emotion versus red. Or red, there's psychology of colors, right? So it's colors are not all equal, right? Our brain perceives them as different, partly because of how the light actually reflects into the real world, and partly because how culture has affected us, right? We associate red with love, right? Why do we associate red with love? Well, there's actually some, science behind some of the stuff that happened first, and then we associate with blood, right? Blood and hearts, and there's certain things, right, with blue and right. Psychology, when you see the colors blue and green, well, you consider that to be peaceful. Part of that might be because of the actual wavelength. Part of that is because of culture, what you see, right? You know what I mean? When you think of blue, you might think of the ocean. When you think of green, you might think of green pastures. And we think of peace, right? Where red, most people don't think of peace, right? So colors themselves have these psychological components, and understanding the psychological components of each color when you program. And then on top of that, even in fireworks, a whole nother science is colors literally burn differently.
Yes.
Like a whole other ball freaking game. And then you have the challenge of like, it looks good in person, but how do you get to look good on video? Because red often gets washed out. Blue looks like white. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole, oh my gosh, sorry, I'm going from tangent to tangent. Right? This is how my brain works or doesn't work for more clarity. So even the dog agrees. So I'm with you.
All right, absolutely.
We're all with you.
So how different is it performing, lights with live music compared to performing like a visual experience?
Well, lights with live music is difficult because the musicians can change, right? So when we do anything with live music, we use click tracks, if you're familiar. That way the conductor or whoever is, or whoever the musicians are chiming it, because obviously musicians are going to make it more sloppy than a pre-recorded event. So we might not, in a live music situation, we're not going to get so, hey, this has to happen exactly on this exact moment. If it's barely off, it won't work because it's musicians, right? So there's going to be some possibilities of getting it off. So we're more going to create more scenic stuff versus precise hits. Or if there's going to be, like I said, we're going to use fades. So I would use fades a lot when it comes to lighting in the live music world versus when it's pre-recorded, we can have everything down to one 100th of a second. But then we get complications of how far the audience is. So by the time they hear it versus by the time they see it, like, oh, you know what I mean? So like, it's another issue, right, too. So we try to soften the edges of our lighting with, fades, just to compensate so most people have a better experience. But online, of course, we can get it to one camera angle and make sure the music is matching from that camera angle, and not have to worry about different places in the audience of that same emotional impact.
And we've kind of touched on this a little bit, like how has the social media aspect of all this impacted the way that you do the shows or you record the shows or put the shows out?
We usually record for two different reasons, and we're aware like some of these songs will do well on social media and some of them won't. Some of these songs will be like, hey, once you found what we did and you went to our YouTube channel and watched the show in its entirety, maybe a theme park would be able to, maybe the theme park gets their attention through one of our social media shorts, but it's not necessarily too artsy, but then they watch our full YouTube show and then they appreciate the art. So we do both simultaneously. Like, this is going to grab them online, and this is what's going to hook our clients. So we have to do both. And so social media is our almost only source, but by far our number one source of business. And I hate social media. So this week I've used social media on my phone 0. So I'm very intentional with it. I go online on my computer. Because it'll hook you and it'll steal your life, and I'd rather be more intentional with my time. And I feel like when you're on your phone, they literally use the camera on your phone to analyze your movements and to keep you addicted, feeding you, based on what you see. On a desktop, it's easier to not get as addicted, so I can be very intentional. So I appreciate social media because social media is why our business probably exists the way it does. But if I can control it, I won't be on it.
Yeah. Interesting. What content has performed well that has completely surprised you over the years?
I'm no longer surprised because I expect the stupidity of what I'm about to tell you. We will spend 200 hours on something and get a low view count, even though it was emotionally crazy, right? But then we'll, like, for example, my most popular video, and I'll say mine because this was Tom. I woke up and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I did that song Satisfaction? And I did 3-4 hours of programming in the morning. And then I recorded that in a single drone take, going towards my house and pulling out during the rain. I was running, well, WTF, I'll do it anyways, right? And I uploaded the video and it's got like 150 to 200 million views.
Wow.
And that was me by myself in a few hours work. I'm like, WTF, why do I do what I do? So now obviously there was reasons why it worked, and there was a lot of really cool aspects of it. But the funny thing is that we know is what we spend just a very short amount of time might be our biggest video ever. And what we might be, but this is why, like I said, but but that didn't have like, that wasn't a 20-minute show. That was like a 15, 20-second clip, right?
Yeah.
But our theme parks will appreciate, our clients will appreciate that when we put all that, the 200 hours into something bigger, but it's a whole experience. Yeah. But the shocking thing initially, the first time, I was, man, what the hell? I spent a few hours and it beat out everything I did. And obviously social media is not the goal though. It's like the goal is to make cool things, and social media helps create the awareness of it. But the goal is not how can we get a viral video necessarily, because then if you get too much about that, in addition to the psychology of what happens to you as a person, you really messes with your head. It's not a healthy place to be in. Like, oh, this didn't get this many views. This video sucks. I suck. I should get a new career. Like you really mess with you real fast. Instead, you have to be like, okay, why did this work well? Why did this not work well? Let's do this. We want to make sure we don't sacrifice our values in the process. We're not going to sell out. Like, I know I can get a lot more views if I do things like with humor that I'm opposed to doing because of morals or quality. So as long as the quality is good and the morals are to the highest standard, I'm okay with doing other fun things. But if it comes to like, hey, this content has swearing, even though it'd be freaking hilarious, I won't do it. Yeah. Or if this content is like, it's tacky or it's inappropriate, we won't do it, even if we know it would get views. Yeah. So I won't do that kind of stuff. So, I hope that answers. I mean, again, it's answering multiple questions at once. Yeah. Some questions you didn't care to ask.
No, that's all right. No, it is funny though, kind of backtracking to things you didn't think would be as impactful. Like I was talking to a buddy of mine and he does a little fireworks show in his backyard. And he's like, I spent 8 months designing this fireworks show. It might not have been 8 months. I can't remember, but
right.
Like,
not nonstop probably of work.
Yeah.
But
Overall, right. Yeah. So you're doing all this work to figure out, create a pyro musical in your backyard. And he's like, the day of, I decide I'm going to put a fireball in there. He's like, they've never seen it. He's like, I did all this work, and at the end, I hit this fireball. And he's like, my family would not stop talking about the fireball. And he's like, 100%. I literally could have just scrapped all these months of work and just did a fireball, and you guys would have been happy. It's funny to say,
But at the same time, if you started with a fireball, everything else would be like non-peaking, non-interesting. But
exactly.
It was leading into it. Yeah. That made the impact, right? So, of course, they're going to talk about the finale more than the soft part, because that's what brains can acknowledge. They're not going to vocalize, I love how the emotion took me from here to there. They're going to acknowledge the ending. I just watched Stranger Things 2 nights ago, finally, and I've watched the finale. And now, of course, I'm thinking about the ending. Like, how did you like the ending? How did you like the last minute or whatever, right? That's because that's just how we are. Like, And if you didn't end with the peak and you ended with a trail off, it would actually lose the energy. So I also lead worship at my church. So under the same psychological mindset, if we have too many songs, people will leave church not wanting to continue singing. Yeah. If we want them wanting a little bit more, when they go home, they might put on the radio. They might listen to more Christian music, and instead of, you don't want to burn them out. You don't want to like overwhelm those. But like, hey, that's enough. I'm over it. See you next Sunday. It's more like this was part of the journey, and then when you leave, you're like, I want to keep on listening to music, and that's when I think we're serving our community, because we're keeping their relationships going versus. If we overdo it, and if the movie just kept on dragging, like I think it was one of the Lord of the Rings, where like I remember Lord of the Rings ends, it blacks out, and then it comes back, and it blacks out, and it comes back. I'm like, how many endings are there? There's like 7 endings to this movie. I thought it was over, and like don't get me wrong, Lord of the Rings is phenomenal, right? But I was just kind of like, is it over yet? I feel like it could be a Family Guy clip or something, right? Where you think it's the end, man, it's not.
You kind of mentioned that briefly, the whole burnout thing. Yeah. So, I mean, how do you stay inspired and prevent that burnout, from producing all these large scale shows and work?
We do what's exciting to us. And the moment it's not exciting, we start steering away from it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if it's boring and it's tedious, we just say no to those jobs.
Yeah.
So if it's new and exciting, that's the bad thing about what we do too. Since we tend to do new and exciting things, we get stressed. Because we keep on adding something. It's not like, okay, we're comfortable, we know this technology. We keep on saying, what if we did this? And then that if is what stresses it all out. So it keeps us on our toes. and finding the right amount of if, right? If I overdo the if, I'm gonna piss everybody off and they'll quit. But if I have enough that like that would be rad, you know what I mean? So let's try that. So just having the right amount of rad. So I slowly over the years I get better at the planning. It's hard to plan something exciting 8 months from now. It's easy to. Wouldn't it be cool if we did this today? So like I'm getting better at learning how to plan because I have two different personality types. This is not me. I mean, in our teams, all teams do, right? All successful companies have multiple personalities. It's not just flexible people. It's also you have your bricklayers, right? If you're people who are good with doing last second changes, all you have, well, you have no one to do the work. And if you have only bricklayers, you have nothing exciting, right? So you need a combination of people who is like willing to do all the work that it takes to get there, but also mixing just enough of creative people who's like going to try crazy stuff. But you can't be crazy after crazy after crazy. We'll never get anything done, and we'll just be in planning stages forever with no execution.
Yeah, yeah. What project are you most proud of emotionally, not just technically?
Hopefully it's always our last show, and in this case it was. So our last Christmas show, was awesome. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, there's aspects I have from previous shows that were just like, that was so cool. You know what I mean? There's moments where like we didn't necessarily beat it, but as a full journey of a show, like I think we're just getting better and better at utilizing technology the best that we can. Yeah. Sometimes you get things that like screw you over, like weather that can, complicate it. Like how, weather calls your hand. One of the things that suck about fireworks is when we do fireworks in California, everything is like highly permitted, right? So we can't say, hey, we're going to light fireworks on one of these days during this month, because then we'd have to have a permit for every single day. Mm-hmm. And then we'd have to have the fire department on standby every single day, right? We can't do that, right? So we have to pick a day or two and pray the weather's decent, because we're filming that day regardless.
Wow. Yep.
And sometimes it helps us and sometimes it really hurts us. So, but I think we've done good. We've done well with making our shows a better utilization of technology, while still not getting boring. So the irony of our company is people expect us to break expectations, and that's a very ironic statement. So, in order for us to exceed expectations, we have to exceed the exceeded expectation.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's like we have to go. They think that we're there, so they're expecting us to be here. So in order to break an expectation, we have to be here, which is like. So I usually have a couple of cards in my back pocket on purpose. I don't show my whole hand. If I show my whole hand, what are we freaking doing next year?
Yeah, yeah.
This year we're covered. I know what we're doing. It's going to be great.
Awesome.
I think next year we'll have to just pack up and go. We're running out. I mean, short of real, holograms, it's gonna be rough.
All right.
Yeah, and this kind of leads into the next kind of our last kind of segment here, but it's kind of the future and the vision of where this is kind of going. Where do you think this technology, this entertainment medium, is heading in the future of the next decade or even further?
I think we're going to go more digital, more AI, more non-real world experience, followed by the desire to go back to real world experience. I think what's going to happen is more people are going to buy headsets for a little while, virtual reality, and you can go anywhere in the world with a headset. And then people are going to find that's not what they want, because I think we're going to go too far into technology and then back away from technology. And I think that's kind of going to be the nature of it. So we're getting to a point where computers are doing everything for us, right? So what's going to happen is computers going to create a real world for you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you can, games will become much more surreal and put, you can put, like I said, you can put on virtual reality headsets and you can even interact with things around you that might be physical, right? And then people will miss the physical thing. So I think we're going to get crazy technology integrated. I think AI is mixing more and more into the real world, right? And you're still right now you see AI that's hilarious, right? But it's not the same as something real. So I think AI is going to go too far.
Yeah.
and it's going to get really blurry on what's AI and what's not, and then we're going to back off and go back into what's real, and then using AI and using computers and technologies to support, but things that are real and tangible being the foundation of everything we experience. And of course, you have people who'll be lost to technology, who just like they don't care, they're like lost in the world, right? We thought it was bad enough when Game Boys came out, right? And now like cell phone addiction is real, and it's huge. It's going to get worse because of AI. And then I think for a lot of people, they'll be like, wait a second, this is too much. I'm going to get away from this. And then we'll use technology more thoughtfully. And some people will be lost to technology. And I don't know what percentage of people will be like, you know what, I want to go hiking at Yosemite. And I don't want to bring technology with me other than like some type of device for safety.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're going to go. So I think it's going to get more blurry. AI is going to mix more and more, and it's going to take over. It's going to make shows more incredible. It's going to make shows become. It'd be cool. I'll appreciate the real world experiences, right? I don't think fireworks will ever go away in any capacity.
Yeah.
But I think I think we might even use some more integration with augmented reality as well, right? Where you're wearing glasses and you're using AI and you're using tools around you. So maybe a show becomes better using augmented reality. And then I think we'll go back and forth. Like, we'll overswing and then we'll swing back the other way and then we'll swing back. We'll probably get more dialed into where the future is. So unfortunately, I think we're going to head to too much technology, get burnt out, and then come a little bit back to more what's real.
Yeah. What emerging technologies are exciting you the most, like creatively? Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about how programming can be actually automated more to do things faster. Like movie making is going to be completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, now you can literally have, you can, and movie making gets integrated with, video projection. It gets integrated with LED stuff. It gets, fireworks and we'll be able to do cooler things too, right? So like, we're going to get things like hyper real. That's going to save budgets, which allows people with not $100 million budget to create a really cool experience, right? Because AI is going to make it way cheaper to create experiences. So I'm excited about that. I love drones right now. We're spending a lot of time with drone technology, but drones are just part of the picture, right? So like I'm trying like how can we integrate drones? Drones are rad because I can set up drones very fast in a new location where I can't set up a pixel show really fast. I can set up projectors relatively fast in a new location, but I need darkness to dial it in. I have to set it the night before at minimum, right? Pixels I have to set up the week before. Drones I can set up the day of.
Yeah.
So that's why drones are great, because we can go to a stadium and set up in the afternoon for a show 3 hours later. Can't do that with other kind of technologies, right? So, but I do love drones in that aspect, because we can create it anywhere, relatively speaking, that airspace allows. And if we get enough drones, one of the things that we're doing, and I think we're doing it better than anyone I've ever seen, and we haven't even released videos of what we're working on, is making drones as precise as our pixel shows. So it's pretty freaking rad. What we're having issues with is learning all the different buffers and all the different audio issues that happen, right? When you're watching something in the sky, the audience takes a big area. So how do we make sure that everyone in the audience hears the right sound at the exact right time? And if it's using radio and and having to counter for all the different delays that happen in various technologies. So one of our teammates has actually created an app using AI that syncs it all together. And compensates for all the different software programs that are used to make the timing become precise again.
Interesting.
What legacy do you hope all this work leaves behind, in the future?
I think one day we'll look back and just watch these emotional experiences, just like watching movies. Sometimes I'll watch old shows and be like, oh, I forgot about that. And it's just like watching an emotional journey that you created. When it's kind of like the same reason why people write in diaries or in journals. When you write it down, you have it forever, and then you release it. So when you do something once and you don't record it, you have that memory, but it's not the same. But when you have a good recording of what you've done, you can revisit it, and it's also you can like let it go and you can it's good psychologically. It's great for your emotions. It's also great because you can rewatch it and re-experience it, share it with your kids, share it with their kids, and be like, look at this old stupid technology we used to do. I'm just kidding, but like, but you know, but at the same time, sometimes I watch an old show, be like, wow, that was actually really really cool. So I think the recording aspect is really really important to me, and because of that, it creates a legacy that you can rewatch it. And then also, I hope to one day let it all go and then just never do it again and just do something else. Because I'm also inspired by doing different things, and I just love slowing down and just going to. I am a person of faith, just what God created in the world, and gardening, and just enjoying time with my son, my wife, family, and just like I said, just the real world stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, pixels, fireworks are all real. But just also just what's literally natural in this planet is amazing. That's something that we'll never be able to beat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
This is good. This is fun.
All right.
This was a blast. I missed.
Yeah. Do you feel like you got the content and enough to edit it down to a 7-second clip? Hey, my name's Tom BetGeorge. Well, that's all we have time for this week. We'll see you next week when we introduce somebody else.
That's a lot of fun.
This has been awesome.
Yeah,
a lot deeper than I anticipated. So yeah,
I'm looking forward to it too. I think it was a good video. There's a lot of thoughts that I have, that stuff that I know I want to record into a video of ours one day, because I teach this kind of stuff all the time, but it's just time to to edit down this video. So it's easier for you to do it because you can do it objectively. For me, I'll never edit it.
Hey everyone, when you think solid fireworks, what brand pops into your head? For a lot of pyro fans and shops, it is Winda. Pyro fans love us because our stuff just works. Retailers love us because customers keep coming back asking, hey, you got more of that Winda? And honestly, we get why they know what works. You will see why when these roll across your screen. For decades, Winda has maintained the same standard. Bright brakes, clean timing, and dependable safety. If you're curious, don't sit on it. Go see why people keep choosing Winda year after year. Check out the full lineup at www.pandafireworks.com. Winda Fireworks, the most reliable fireworks brand.
So we're going to end here with kind of a little rapid fire, our final 5 questions. So normally we have fireworks related questions, so we're going to switch it up a little bit this week, and we're going to maybe add in some different ones, but some of it's still relevant. Kind of the very first question: what is a bucket list event you have not attended?
Oh, that's a great question. I want to go to what's it called? It's I believe it's in Europe. It's one of the EDM concerts, like. Not Tomorrowland. Oh my gosh, it's my apology, won't have the same impact. I'll email you later. It's one of the EDM festivals. I don't do drugs. I don't do loud music. You know what I mean? I'll literally wear my ear protection. But just seeing what they do, is so freaking cool. I actually like what we do more, but they have this scale that I can't do on my budget. Because I'm able to go to Disney productions and that sort of stuff, but I think that'd be rad. I also would like to go to Burning Man and also not do drugs, not do anything weird that happens out there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then I'm gonna say one more bucket list, which is kind of a lame bucket list, but I want to go to IAAPA. So IAAPA, if you're familiar, is a theme park trade show, but it's in our busiest time of year. It's in November. We don't have time to go. But I really want to go and experience all the cool stuff. But I'm always flying from site to site during that time.
Yeah. I'm a Tomorrowland attendee. We've gone to the winter one a couple of times. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So it's rad. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Question 2: what is the favorite show that you have put together?
The last one. And I'm not saying that because I would say that always, but our last one was fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Our last Christmas show. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Question 3. We're going to mix this up a little bit. If you weren't doing this professionally, what would you be doing different else?
Music. It's always music. It's always connected to music. So before I was doing just music, I'm doing music with lighting. I would go back just 100% music. So you can't pull me away from a piano. I mean, if you know, like I'll always play piano as long as my body allows me to do so.
That's
all right. Number 4. What is your favorite effect? This could be a firework effect. It could be a pixel effect. Like, what's your favorite effect in the design process?
Liquid sky, and that's when we take a little bit of fog and we take lasers. We span a laser to an effect that you see the cloud going through the laser. It's freaking phenomenal.
Yeah,
it doesn't look real. It's like like you're looking at it. You're like, I can't believe this is really happening in front of my eyes. Like, right? No other effect I've ever done. It's like, because even though you understand what's happening, you're like, is that actually happening? Am I seeing that? It's so cool.
Yeah. And our last question, the most challenging one: does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yeah, I mean, it's not for me. It's not. It's just like sometimes you just kind of want it. I have no problem with it. I've definitely had pizza with pineapple. I thought was really good, and there's been days I don't want it. But yeah, absolutely, whatever you want on it. I mean, I wouldn't pour raw milk on pizza, but there's a lot of things you can do. Like, hey, why not experiment? So some people like it, and that's basically ties into what we're talking about, right? Like, not everything we do is for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All right, that was it, and that's cool. It's been a fun season.
Yeah, it's been great.
Well, thanks for having me, and sorry that it took so long to get me.
No.
I had to lock the door, turn off my phone. So typically, I did some math. I usually take about 17 calls per hour.
Wow.
And then in between that, I'm trying to do work, right? So it's bad.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, okay, so like when I get off, I'm doing a compilation for Hamilton, and then I'm going to install some DMX switches, and then I'm doing another compilation, and then I'm doing some video editing, and then and then some programming, and I'm supposed to get this all done in the next couple hours. So wish me luck.
A nice break for you, at least, to get away from the phone a little bit. But yeah, again, want to thank you for coming on and enjoying and spending some time with us and carving this out and sharing your whole story and your journey with us. Like it was nice to be able to kind of learn more about who is Tom and and find out what goes into the shows and stuff that you do. And so we really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. You're actually talking to an AI agent right now, and Tom's actually in the other room working.
It could be. Yeah, nowadays it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell sometimes. Like AI's gotten good.
Yeah, you'll see the glitch in the Matrix and be wait.
If somebody wants to reach out to you or install, one of your systems, where could they reach out to you or go to?
Yeah, absolutely. info@magicallightshows.com.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing all the light shows. I'm excited for Christmas.
Yeah.
I always queue it up, and I think we even did a live.
I think we might have watched some.
Right. Yeah, the premiere. Yeah,
one of the premieres. So, So, thank you again. It's been an honor to have you on, Tom. Thank you guys for working with us and coming on, and looking forward to the future.
Yeah, we'll talk again soon.
All right.
All right, guys.
Take care, you guys.
All right. Well, we just want to say thank you again to Tom. What a great episode. Really had a great time talking to him. Lots of knowledge. I know I learned a lot. I don't know about you, but I learned.
It was cool. That was really neat. That was awesome, man. I mean, definitely. He went a lot more in depth on stuff than I would expect. It. So it was really kind of cool to see the personal side of Tom. And I mean, all we see is just the shows, right? All you see is the videos, and it's really see the person behind them sometimes.
Exactly. This is it. This is the closing episode of this season.
Season 4 in the books.
Yeah, this is it. I want to say thank you greatly to Muxboard. Thank you again for your help in sponsorship of this season. Without you, we really could not have done this. Really, to any of our sponsors, right? You have PGI. Yeah, I'm losing it today, man. I'm sorry.
PGI, go get your convention tickets. I think they finally got camping stuff sorted out. Looks like
finally got camping stuff sorted out. Yep. By the time this releases, you will have camping spots will be available. Yep.
There's a couple shows going to be up there this year, so go up there and check them out.
Yep. Looking forward to those.
David will need some help, so
I might need some help. So if you have my info, reach out to me. I know a guy. Want to say thank you to Lorian at Firetech.
Yeah.
Huge shout out for the sponsorship. Again, without you, this would not be possible. So we really appreciate that. And then obviously T-Sky and Panda, Wizard, Winda, whatever you want to call them. Yeah.
The video ad says Winda, so I mean,
okay.
I'm pretty
all right.
sure.
Well, we're rolling with Winda then. So
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah. Thanks to Winda and T-Sky again for the help and sponsorship. Looking forward to future endeavors with you, and reach out to your local favorite wholesaler for T-Sky and Winda. Maybe me.
We know a
do
guy.
have in stock. We know a guy. Yeah. So be safe out there. Yeah, got a month and a half until we're all lighting up the sky for. I mean, we live for a couple of days out of the year, right? I mean, it's what we all look forward to, and then when we come back for season 5, it's gonna be ready to rock and roll for
Fall.
Sky Wars and
fall shows. We got a lot of stuff happening in the fall this year. So
lots of stuff happening.
Yeah, from PGI to Sky Wars to Lone Star. I mean, you've got Sooner Skyfire mixed in there.
Yeah.
And you got a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff in the fall, and
Fire Jam.
Another busy one. Fire Jam. Yeah.
So
hoping to see some stuff there happen there. So I mean,
yeah.
Still waiting to kind of get some confirmation, some things worked out on their side, but
yeah.
We'll see how all that stuff kind of happens, but
yeah. Well, with that,
But again, guys, go out there, have you a safe season. If you're in the process of scripting, catch the finale tips of the week. They've been rolling out there, and so get brushed up. I see there's been a lot of questions online and around finale stuff, and I know our videos get shared in some of the Discords and some of the places as well. So go out there, check them out. Some good information. We're gonna try to connect with Drew maybe after the season and see if we can't get a few more recorded that we can have out there maybe in the fall for people to work on some fall shows, or maybe I'll have my own personal questions I need to get answered. I mean, selfishly we'll bring them on and help out some stuff. But go out there, guys. Be safe. Have a good safe 4th of July. Come home with all your fingers and toes and all your body parts, and be safe out there. And so, but again, guys, until we see y'all next season. Season 5, going to be next season.
Yeah.
Go out there and unleash your inner pyro with us.
This has been another episode of Pyro Unleashed. Come back each week for more industry insights, technical tips, and awesome pyro designs. Have fun out there, be safe, and as always, remember to unleash your inner pyro with us.